all the bad vibes, cut me loose from the pettiness. They turn on me, but now I am perfectly free to be me. This is who I am. This is who I am now. No matter what they say, this is who I am. This is who I am now. They think that I have lost my mind, that I'm not being true, but they don't have a clue. 'Cause this is me when I cut out all the shallowness and everything I suppress to fit in a small frame. But I won't play your game anymore, so I had to change. Yeah, I shook off all the bad vibes, cut me loose from the pettiness. They turn on me, but now I am perfectly free to be me. This is who I am. This is who I am now. No matter what they say, this is who I am. This is who I am now. I'm gonna let them talk, but I ain't following nobody else. How can I be resentful when I finally respect myself? I shook off all the bad vibes, cut me loose from the pettiness. They turn on me, but now I am perfectly free to be me. This is who I am. This is who I am now. No matter what they say, this is who I am. This is who I am now.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Better Man Show, where I make the mistakes so you do not have to, and I test the gear so you do not have to. So, hi, I'm BK. Obviously, if we are friends, that shouldn't surprise you. But if we are not friends, don't be a stranger. Feel free to add me as a friend because I'm actually currently testing this live stream out to a few platforms, and I'm going to do something later to just quickly show you. So tonight is a quick behind the scenes look at this new current platform that I'm using. This is a new platform that I'm using for this. So in fact, I just want to quickly show you that it can be done on the fly. I just want to add a quick graphic. Give me one quick second. And this is now day number. You should be able to see this, but it's a bit too big. I need to kind of tweak it down a bit. Yeah, see? Should be live. Day 44 of a 100-day challenge. Exactly 144 days ago, I started a 100-day live stream challenge, and obviously some friends said I was crazy to even try and do that. But lo and behold, we are on day 44. And tonight, I just want to quickly show you this behind the scenes of this live stream. And let me just quickly show you first. Hang on, I can turn it on to live demo mode. Okay, so you should be seeing what I am seeing. Audio hijack, it is going through input A. You should be seeing exactly what I'm seeing. Let me test it out and double check. Yeah, you are seeing exactly what I'm seeing, right? So this is what I see. But when you were looking from the live stream, you don't see all this, right? So I'm actually using a new platform called Ecamm Live. Is actually so a bit of backstory first. So I've used it before right near the start, but during that time, what happened was my use case then was a bit different. I needed it to I was using it as a virtual camera, meaning it acted like a camera onto Zoom, right? So that was the original use case. So I wanted to use it to kind of present over on Zoom. Now, but what I discovered was that it is a pretty resource heavy application. Unless you have a pretty high end Mac, you probably would struggle a little bit because it is very, very powerful. I'm going to walk you through a quick overview in a minute. So it didn't quite suit my use case then because during that time, my use case was this was the camera. So Ecamm, this thing you're seeing now on the screen, this was the camera because it has all these effects, right? So for example, I can put something like this, a graphic on and off, right? So I can put on a graphic and without a graphic. So this was supposed to be the camera inside Zoom. And then I have Zoom. And then I usually would have a keynote presentation. So for my poor basic MacBook Air, it was just too much for it to handle. So for that particular use case, it didn't work at all. There was a lot of drop frames. Sometimes you can hear that I'm saying something but I'm not moving. Keynote wasn't moving along, that kind of thing. So that didn't quite work for that kind of setup. Okay, that use case. Now, of course, the great news is that there are new M1 silicon-based Macs that are out. Unfortunately, don't have access to it yet, but according to a lot of online reports from other people who have accessed it in the US and other countries, they have reported it to be extremely fast, extremely versatile, and extremely powerful. So maybe that could be a solution if I want to use that again. Now, but tonight, the reason why I've gone back to Ecamm Live is twofold. Number one, because now the use case is a bit simpler. I'm pretty much only using it for live streaming, and it seems to be handling it very well. In fact, very, very well, right? So this is now Ecamm that is then outputting it to Restream, which is what I've been using for the past 20 over days, right? But Restream has not as many features as Ecamm Live. So Ecamm Live is a Mac-only software. It is only for the Mac, but there are other equivalent ones for PC. Popular one for PC will be Streamlabs, vMix, and so on, right? But for the Mac, Ecamm Live is one of the more popular ones at the moment. So what you're seeing now on the live stream, this is exactly what I am seeing on my computer, right? So this is what I'm seeing on my computer now. So just a quick walkthrough. In the middle, obviously, this is what you will see, exactly what you will see, okay, when I'm streaming. So if I turn off the demo mode, you will only see that middle window, right? Then to the left of the window, I've arranged it in such a way that it's just neater for me. So on the left here, this is the scenes. These are the scenes. So for example, the startup scene with music is actually scene number 2, which I can switch over to scene number 2 now. So you should have heard the music for scene number 2. And the beauty of this Ecamm Live is that you can actually program it such that after one scene finishes, it goes straight to the next scene. So I have an intro scene, which I love the music, right? And then once that music is finished, it goes to the next scene, which is this scene, which is what you're seeing now, which is like a typical talking head or talking head show kind of setup, right? So this is a scene. So you can imagine that it is pretty powerful because you literally can do a simple presentation like this because you can actually time it such that you can switch to the next scene using shortcut key. So the shortcut key is actually Apple +1. So you can see Apple 1, Apple 2, Apple 3, for example. Apple key is the function key on the Mac keyboard, right? So you can switch around the scenes quite easily this way over here. Okay. Now and you see because each of the scenes can have separate graphics. So for example, in the second scene, there would be music only, and you will not hear my microphone because it's meant to be like that, right? And also it doesn't have all these graphics here. Like for example, I can remove the day 44 now, right? So I remove the graphic for day 44. I don't show it, or I can put it back on again, right? So this is one. I can also remove the logo over here in this particular scene, or put it back on again, right? So every scene has a certain preset that you can put in certain graphics, lower thirds, tickers, and so on. So for example, like this ticker that is going on in the bottom, right? This is a ticker. You can also put it as a static text. So there's a lot of powerful things you can do inside each and every one of the scenes. And you can imagine that you can actually program every scene to be a little bit different. And therefore you can kind of structure a show according to this, right? So I've not even started to scratch the surface of all the things that you can do on here, but I'm just showing you a quick overview. So this is the scenes, right? And then you can add scenes, you can nest scenes, you can put them in folders. You can also create, like for example, you have let's say you have multiple live streams. So for example, this is one of my live streams, right? I have a folder for all the scenes for this show. I could also have a folder for all the scenes for maybe another show, for example. So you can see there's a little folder icon here. You can create folders and you can arrange the scenes in a nice manner, right? A quick tip, back up your scenes, back up your things. I think you can export them because some people, they find that when they move to a new computer, they had to recreate all the scenes again. So that can be a bit of a hassle, okay? So this is scenes, right? So very, very powerful. I like the keyboard shortcut because you can literally switch using your keyboard. A lot of people then partner it with something else, which I'll talk about another time. I don't have that. It's called the Elgato Stream Deck. That is a quick way to have physical buttons to switch between scenes, right? So then we come to the next part, which is the overlays. Overlays, you kind of have already seen it. So you can add static overlays, you can add animated overlays, and so on. So for example, the logo here, this is actually an animated overlay. Let me remove this. Did you see the slide animation for the microphone? Let me show you again. So this is an animated overlay. It moves, right? So there's a quick short animation on the microphone. So that's an animated overlay. So you could have something that is like a spinning globe or, something like that. So that can be done right now. Then on this side, this is a static overlay. So some people do something like this, and then sometimes they put like a lower third, right? So they say certain things on the bottom. So that's also quite a simple way. So all you need to do is just simply click and then add it in, right? Even like now, I can do it on the fly, right? So this is a text, right? So you see, it's just at the bottom on the lower third, for example. And people typically put their names, the show names, where they are on Instagram, Facebook, and so on, right? So this is something here. And of course, you can edit it as well. I can make the text bigger. So now it's a little bit small. See? So this is now much more visible, So this is a quick way to edit. So I'm just going to remove this. I can also delete it, and it's gone. So this is gone. Then below here, there is also sound effects. So I can play. And also have things like, I like the next one. So it has sound effects. Of course, I also have a Rodecaster Pro, which I showed another time behind the scene for hardware behind the scene. So the Rodecaster Pro also has that. So I can, and this is from the Rodecaster Pro. This is from the Rodecaster Pro. So now I have options. I can either do it on Ecamm Live, or I can do it on my Rodecaster Pro. So both of them have sound effects. Then the next window here, this one on the bottom, just below here, this is the setup. So you have your sound device. In this case, I name it Ecamm Live. And then you have a choice when you play a movie, like what I did just now in the second scene, whether you want the music to play or not. You can also set up. Then you have sound effects. So for example, if I mute the sound effects and I play something here, you won't hear it. So it is playing, but you don't hear it because I muted it. So I mute it again. So that is how it controls. And then of course there's system audio. So system audio is when you have, let's say you are playing a video, you're sharing a video on your computer, and you want that audio to go out to the live stream as well. That is the system audio. Okay. Then beside this, over here, this is the interview. So they just recently launched an interview mode. So just like the other day when I used Restream to interview two of my friends, now Ecamm Live also has an interview feature. It is relatively new. I think it's still in beta, but have heard good things about it. So again, any friends who are open, I'm happy to have you on as a guest, right? So this is the interview. So on the right, these are the comments. I've not set it up yet. So you can actually set up comments. Okay, so because right now I'm using Restream, so I have to actually pull out the comments from Restream rather than this, because this actually allows me to stream direct to Facebook. It allows me to stream direct to YouTube and so on, right? And if I do it that way, then the comments from Facebook and YouTube will automatically appear here. And there are certain things that I can do with it, which is quite powerful. But today, the setup is a bit different. I'm currently using Ecamm Live as a as a command center. It is then going out to Restream, and then Restream is then broadcasting out to Facebook, YouTube, and some other platforms. So that that is the only way it can be done. So this single stream is going out to multiple platforms. That's what this is doing. So I need to set up this part here for comments so that it appears here. Okay, so I've not set it up yet. Okay. And last but not least, on the bottom right corner here, on my right, it's on the right corner. So you see a little window for me. This is actually the camera. This is actually the camera setting. So you can choose the camera. So you can have multiple cameras, for example. You can even do a green screen, which I'm not using. I don't really like green screen, so I don't have a green screen. And also there's something called zoom and pan. Okay, so if I turn on zoom and pan, you will notice that I can zoom in on myself. So I have zoomed in on myself. I can also move it around so that I am in frame. So even though my camera doesn't have a zoom lens, I can zoom in software, right? So that's the zoom and pan. So that is one interesting feature, right? There's something else that also very interesting is that I can also adjust the settings of the lights, the camera, and so on. So for example, if I want to have a black and white show, I can. So this is a black and white show. So you can actually set up like certain moods. For example, you all of a sudden you are nostalgic and you want to talk about something a little bit with nostalgia, then you want to set up into black and white. You could do that, right? So let me put it back again. And what is very interesting is there's something called a LUT, a lookup table. It's called a lookup table, a LUT, L-U-T. So you could actually apply LUTs onto your look. So right now, I didn't set. So for this to happen, you need to set your camera to shoot in a very raw log profile, which is kind of like a very muted look for your camera. So now my camera already has a LUT in a sense because this is the standard profile. Colors look the correct way, right? But I can choose to set the camera to shoot it in a very muted manner in a log format, and then I can apply a LUT using Ecamm Live, and I can change the way I look on the fly. So I can make it a bit more vibrant, a bit more psychedelic, even like I can do the black and white, but black and white in a different way, maybe more contrasty, more noir, more whatever, right? So that's the power of LUTs, and Ecamm Live can do that for you. Okay, you can have a setup here over on this side. So that's the whole camera effects thing on the right. So just a very quick overview of Ecamm Live. It's a wonderful live stream software. It's very powerful. Like I said, the backstory was earlier on, my use case wasn't very suitable because it was my MacBook Air, not the software, but my MacBook Air just couldn't cut it. But with the new M1 Macs that are coming out, I've heard good things. Hopefully, we have access to it here in Malaysia soon. And let's see, I do not know, right? But as of now, this MacBook Air cannot handle my previous use case I wanted to do. So this use case works fine because it's pure live stream. There's no zoom, there's no keynote, therefore it is handling well. In fact, I don't even hear any fan noise from my MacBook Air. So it's actually running it well, right? So that's a good sign. So let me take you out of demo mode. So you should be out of demo mode now. And I want to show you another behind the scenes. But this time, let me share the screen. So this one is, so this is the audio. This is the audio behind the scenes. Because this is software as well. So the way I've set it up is such that I can do certain things to my audio behind the scenes. So this is what is called audio hijack. It's also a piece of software that is running in the background. And you notice all these lines. So if I stop talking, you notice the orange lines will disappear. Right? So the orange lines is telling you that signal is going through. So I have a few, this is kind of like a choose your own adventure setup, right? So it's interesting because you can pipe the audio from different places. So right now, I selected input switch B, which means that the audio starts from here, which is the mic. It goes to this processor, which is suppressing the noise. And then kind of attenuates my voice a little bit. And then it goes here. This one is the one that keeps the levels constant so that even if I talk too loudly, suddenly I get excited, it doesn't break the mic, for example, or it doesn't cause it doesn't crack, right? Then it goes to this one, which again also make sure it keeps it at the level thing, and it goes into Ecamm Live. So this is now going into Ecamm Live. What is here is just additional meters for me to see that I'm not doing anything crazy because you don't want it to go all the way to the top, right? So these are all the settings that you can see, okay? And the last part is it is also being recorded separately. So the audio is now also recorded as a MP3 file separately onto my hard disk. So if I want a backup of the audio, I do have a backup. So this is what is this is behind the scenes. So this is called audio hijack. Okay. Now then, so this is the fun part. So I can actually turn on and off any of these things at the same time. So for example, this is what is going on here. For this, this is keeping the levels constant, so that it doesn't peak and it doesn't go above a certain level. For example, so if I suddenly shout, it will actually quickly bring it down, and that is what it can do for you. Okay, so this is audio hijack. This is audio hijack. Let's stop that. Yeah, so probably by now some of you are wondering, yeah, so I've mentioned this before. You do not have to do this if you just want a simple live stream where you could literally just use a phone and go to Facebook and click go live, and then you go live and you're live, right? That's all you need to do. You don't have to do all the things that I have just talked about. The use case is a bit different. Of course, what I always suggest is start first and then improve or add on along the way. So this is of course, for me, I always tend to like to do things that brings me joy. So I'm quite a geeky person. So all these things, tweaking this and playing around with behind the scenes is fun for me and it's enjoyable for me. So why not, right? Why not? So, and because this is all about personal development and this is a part of my personal growth, I test the software, I test the hardware, I test the behind the scenes thing so that you don't have to test it. And if this helps you in any way, I'm happy, right? Especially during this time and age now, where everyone is trying to transition from face-to-face meetings to a lot of this kind of interactions. Then obviously, some of the things that I'm testing out could benefit some of you. So if you do want a list of resources of what I've just mentioned and also a quick walkthrough, feel free to PM me, send me a message, and don't be a stranger, right? So I know this has been a slightly longer episode, but because we're just walking behind it, and trust me, I have not really even scratched all the things that this can do. So I'm happy to be on Ecamm Live again. So I've always liked it, just that the previous earlier use case didn't quite suit my use case. So, but now because it's pure live stream, it is wonderful. And like I said, I'm not even hearing the fan from my MacBook Air. So means that it's working very well. And this one can go up to 4K in live stream, assuming Facebook or the platforms allow it. Right now on Facebook, they cap it at 720p. YouTube, you can stream to 1080 or even 4K, I think, if you have a fast enough machine or fast enough network. So that is possible, right? And some other platforms as well. But currently on Facebook, you're limited to 720p unless you are a gamer, unless you happen to be live streaming a game. So they allow gaming streams to be up to 1080p, I believe. That is the difference. So for a regular live stream like this, as of now, it's capped at 720p. But looks good enough, right? Sometimes you also don't want too high definition. You can see all the imperfections on the face, for example. So thank you for joining me for day number 44 of a 100-day challenge. And thank you for joining us on the Better Man Show. Is where I make the mistake so you do not have to, and I test the gear so you don't have to as well. So good night. I'll see you tomorrow for day number 45. I should do a outro theme on the